Central Ohio is growing fast, and that's why 10 TV this year launched our new series, Boomtown. Our stories shed light on how this rapid growth impacts your life and the solutions for the growing pains you feel. Whether it's traffic, new homes, or crowded schools, leaders in this region will have to figure out how to embrace 1 million more people in the coming decades. So, here's what we uncovered this year in Boomtown. Hi there, I'm Angela Ann, and we are so glad to bring you this recap of stories 10 TV covered this year in Boomtown. Affordable housing was top of mind for everyone. And as Columbus came up with new solutions this year, we discovered building up worked well in Austin, Texas, another booming city. So I went to the Texas capital over the summer to see how their solutions compared to Columbus.
I'm excited. I'm proud that folks will want to be a part of our Columbus story.
Columbus City Council President Shannon Hardin was born and raised in Columbus. He says he's watched the city he loves transform from a cow town to a boom town.
We're expected to grow by 1 million more folks in the next 15, 20 years. Folks are coming here because we have a good thing going on.
And we do have a good thing going on. But if we don't plan for the boom, Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther says the good won't last.
We need 200,000 more housing units just so that we can try to remain affordable. And so the best way for us to deal with that is to dramatically increase the supply.
This summer, City Council passed Zone In, where zoning codes were revamped for the first time in 70 years. It allows for denser housing capacity in certain areas of town. Mayor Ginther says that will make room for 44% of the region's housing needs in Columbus alone.
Before that code, the major corridors in our city, we would have added 6,000 units over the next 10 years for housing. Because of these code changes, we'll be able to get 88,000 units into the pipeline to help us deal with this supply crisis that's impacting this region.
Ginther and Hardin say robust housing supplies will increase competition and lower the cost of living in Columbus. It's an economic rule of thumb that's worked for another boomtown way down south.
A funny joke running around Austin is the official bird of Austin is the crane.
Rich Fortune moved to Austin 3 years ago and now runs his startup company from his downtown apartment. Last year, the Texas capital added 20,000 new housing units to its supply. Fortune says the impact is clear on the city skyline and his wallet.
My first one bedroom was around $2,500 per month. As more condos were built across the river and also throughout downtown Austin, East Austin, I was able to get a $500 reduction on this apartment that I'm in right now. So it's very competitive.
That competition is a relief to many people, new and old, living in Austin. Housing prices swelled during the pandemic as more than 120,000 people migrated to the city. Austin city leaders say that was their wake-up call to take their heads out of the sand. They not only changed their zoning code to allow denser development, but also a change in lot sizes.
And that has made it possible to build smaller units closer together to get more different types of housing typology on a street without sacrificing the feel of a neighborhood, which was also really important.
Columbus Council President Hardin says the city still has time to remain affordable, but we need to use that time wisely.
You can look at Austin, you can look at Nashville, cities that had fast-paced growth. They didn't have enough time to plan for it. They didn't have enough time to build enough housing for it. If we don't take advantage of the time that we have to prepare for this, then we could turn into that.
So, affordability goes hand in hand with the homeless population that's on the rise here in Central Ohio. The latest data from the Community Shelter Board shows the number of unhoused people increased by almost 2% in the past year. 10 TV's Kevin Landers found one small solution that's making a big difference.
So this is what a typical house looks like.
This is Vista Village.
We have 41 total units.
A tiny home development in southeast Columbus designed to solve a big problem, the lack of affordable housing for the homeless.
Vista Village is for individuals who want a second chance. We have individuals coming in from in homeless camps that are going to be referred to us. They were ready to transition out. We have individuals returning to society from incarceration, individuals in recovery, kids aging out of foster care. and veterans.
What's unique to this development is that it's not just housing. Its community center will provide residents with job training along with health, wellness, and life skills.
Vista Village is not permanent housing. It's called transitional housing, meaning people will live here between 18 and 24 months. The goal is, after that, they'll have a job and be able to live independently.
A similar idea is taking shape on this property in Circleville.
We have a lot of veterans that need these additional services. They need longer time to have some stability and to have a community wrap around them so they can go out and be successful and keep housed.
Here, plans are in the works to build tiny homes for its homeless veteran population, which they ballpark at 50.
We know that the numbers are much higher than that.
Today, homeless veterans live in this building, where they share a common kitchen and TV room. Someday, they could live in tiny homes like these, with mental health and job skills available on site. It was designed by students at Ohio State who studied similar projects across the country. The mayor says if the community doesn't act soon,
I think we will continue to see our homeless veterans not have adequate housing.
Organizers hope their housing solution will someday allow homeless veterans in Pickaway County to live independently and with dignity. Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
So this year was full of big news for big tech in Boomtown. Companies like Intel, Google, and Amazon all continue to invest here in Central Ohio. So no doubt this means game-changing growth for our region. I took a look at how cities like New Albany are making sure they stay ahead of the game with housing, highways, and much more. Look familiar? The massive Samsung semiconductor facility being built in Taylor, Texas, could practically serve as a double take for Intel in Ohio. The only difference? They have a 2-year head start.
Those are old postcards of Taylor, Texas from way back in the day.
That's why Allison Ditto, who runs a small pocket hotel in Taylor, wasted no time setting down roots.
I came to Taylor because I wanted to buy a house. I'm a single mother, I have 2 teenage boys, and I had a budget of $260,000, which is not enough to buy literally anything in Austin.
So we asked Taylor's mayor how leaders managed to keep the growing city affordable for 17,000 residents.
Get ahead on your transportation, get ahead on your infrastructure, your water and wastewater lines, north, south, east, and west, so that it's easier. And don't put the burden on yourself, put the burden on the developers. Like, hey, we will help you develop, but pay for that infrastructure ahead of time, and we'll try and pay you back in abatements in some shape, form, or fashion.
10 TV wanted to know whether the city of New Albany, which is slightly smaller in population, is ahead or behind with that concept, given Intel's projected start date in 2027. Here's what Mayor Sloan Spalding told us last week.
None of us really expected a project the size of Intel. So we have a lot of work to do, but again, everyone is rowing in the same direction.
But are they rowing fast enough? Mayor Spalding says yes. In fact, he says the 161 expansion that feeds into Licking County is months ahead of schedule. And a lot of effort right now is going into roads, sewers, and water lines, not to mention land acquisitions.
When Intel was announced, there was a concerted effort on behalf of the state of Ohio, the city of New Albany, and our development company, the New Albany Company, in trying to acquire enough land to make sure that all the suppliers and the various entities were going to support Intel had sufficient land to go to. But there's a lot of land out there that is available for development, whether it's residential, commercial, or retail.
That diversification is what Mayor Spalding says will be New Albany's key to success, much like what Taylor's mayor, Dwayne Ariola, says has kept his hometown city afloat.
It's just negotiations from the automobile industry, from the food industry, supporters of all those types of industry, the pharma worlds that aren't going to go away in the long term.
We also just got an announcement that UT is going to put a campus here, which is crazy.
And that gives Allison even more reason to plant herself in a town where she now sees a stronger future for her family. Well, this year, Microsoft chose the Silicon Heartland as its new home. The whopping announcement this year included a $1 billion investment into 3 data center campuses across Licking County. And the tech giant is also expanding its footprint in Pataskala. But these data centers absorb massive amounts of electricity and provide very few jobs. 10 TV's Colin Dorsey took a closer look at the latest project and how Microsoft could impact its new neighbors.
There's already construction on that side of Beach Road, and soon it'll be the same on this side. This 200 acres of empty space is set to be the home of Microsoft's next project, and for some, the energy and resource use isn't the only concern they have. The wheels of progress continue to turn in Central Ohio, but that progress rarely happens without disrupting those around it. The sounds of a massive construction project echo through this subdivision, built long before any of this was out here. Now Microsoft's project will box them in on the other side. People living in a few of these homes told me they're not happy with the noise and the change of scenery to their once secluded neighborhood. What was all of this like when you first got here?
Cornfields. That's it.
A bit farther down the road, Erica Dietzel owns an old farmhouse. Over the decades, she's seen everything grow up around her property, and it doesn't really bother her.
There's nothing you can do about it. And like every change, we don't like it as human beings, but maybe in the end, it's going to be okay for the better.
While her house and land are now for sale, she's coped with the noise in the buildings by planting scores of trees to block it out.
I have 175 arborvitaes I planted all around and pine trees, so I really don't care what they do.
Data centers also consume a lot of power. According to real estate company Newmark, the largest consume enough electricity to power 80,000 homes. That requires new infrastructure by AEP, and the power company wants them to pay for almost all of the projected power usage for the first 10 years of operation, even if they don't use it. AEP's argument is that if companies like Google, Microsoft, and Facebook pull out of a project, it will put the cost burden of these infrastructure upgrades on their residential and business customers. Now let's talk about jobs. Once these massive projects are finished, it really doesn't take a lot of people to keep them going. Microsoft says once complete, this will employ at minimum 30 people. In New Albany, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
As we said, a lot happening in Boomtown, and this year we saw new multi-level housing going up in areas where it's never been before, and that means more traffic. This could be the reason why Franklin County voters passed Link Us back in November. The sales tax increase will pay for more bus service, but there could be a hiccup with this plan. How will COTA help neighborhoods where those roads simply can't expand? 10 TV's Colin Dorsey is back, and he took that concern directly to the Columbus mayor.
A new building here, another one over there, and this one is well on its way to completion now. Fifth Avenue is growing up, but this street isn't getting any wider to deal with the extra traffic. During peak commute times, it can certainly get clogged up.
We've doubled the population, so it's an enormous change.
Dave Pritchard has lived around Fifth Avenue for 6 decades. With the new development, he's watched the traffic worsen.
I've had 3 cars smashed up over the last 15 years on Fifth Avenue, so it's a nightmare.
The increased congestion also affects rideshare drivers like William Parks.
Traffic has picked up quite a bit, especially around this area with the new store there.
So I took the concerns to the City of Columbus and Public Service Deputy Director Rory McGinnis. I asked him, how will the city make room for more drivers in neighborhoods where they can't widen roads?
We want to make sure we have that infrastructure in place to make it easier for people to get to where they want to go, but have more options to do so.
He points to the city's Link Us initiative, which strives to boost public transportation routes in addition to the number of bike paths and sidewalks.
What we'd really like to do is, with Link Us, we're looking to increase COTA service by about 50%. And so if we're able to build more, if more people are using transit, we're going to be able to manage our congestion a lot more effectively as we grow.
But that depends on people choosing to take a bus or a bike instead of the car. I asked Mayor Andrew Ginther if that's a real solution.
People are complaining about the amount of traffic that is added to Fifth Avenue. Public Service points to Link Us. Is the city asking people to give up their cars, and is this really a solution to that problem?
Well, I don't think anybody's asking folks to give up their car. So we're going to continue to work through this. But growing communities are going to continue to have challenges.
For residents like Dave Pritchard, he's skeptical that better buses will mean less traffic.
It has to be something different than the standard bus system. a hard sell these days.
In Columbus, Colin Dorsey, 10 TV News.
Colin, thank you. Well, more roads brings a need for more patrols. And as intel builds in Licking County, the Sheriff's Office is preparing to keep the booming population safe. 10 TV's Lacey Crisp explains how the department is adding 22 new deputies to the rank and file.
You may begin. These are the newest Licking County Sheriff's deputies.
2, 3, 4.
These 15 cadets are learning not just from any instructor.
Your hands to your side, looking down. You're going to count out loud like this.
All the instructors at COTC themselves are local. They're all retired. They've been here for law enforcement 20 plus years. And having our people come in and train us, getting to know their faces, is huge.
Garrett Moss is born and raised in the area. He went away for 4 years to serve in the Army and is back now, serving in a different role.
See everyone that I know and be a part of them and helping protect them and the community that I live in is huge.
He is in the first ever Licking County Sheriff's Office cadet class, and they just graduated.
It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this very special and unique graduation ceremony.
Licking County is growing with the rest of Central Ohio.
Everyone talks about Intel, but it's Intel plus. There's other companies coming to the area. The more people are coming to this area. Columbus is kind of starting to grow our way. We just got to be prepared for the growth.
The need was so great for additional deputies, the department decided to hold its own class.
We have a shortage of law enforcement officers across Ohio and across the country.
The benefit about having our own is a couple-fold. One is we can train our people the way we want to have them trained. We can train them on, when we do report writing, we can train them on our software systems. When we do different crime scene things, we can train them on the technology that we use.
The Licking County Sheriff's Office has already hired 7 new deputies for the year. That means when these 15 new deputies get done with field training, they'll have 22 additional deputies.
With all that growth, we just need to be able to staff our patrol division.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the newest members of the Licking County Sheriff's Office.
While the Sheriff's Office builds staff for the future growth to protect and serve, the department is also looking to possibly build new substations to have those deputies spread across the county as it rapidly increases in population.
We need to start talking now so in 5 years we can implement those plans.
Seeking solutions for future growth.
We're very, very lucky. I'm very lucky. Just the experience in total has been amazing.
In Licking County, Lacey Crisp, 10 TV News.
Lacey, thank you. So there's one more aspect of a boomtown that often goes unnoticed because it's underground. But right now, Columbus is spending $253 million to build a storm sewer tunnel. And part of that money comes from your water and sewage bills. 10 TV's Kevin Landers went underground and found out this isn't the last project customers will need to pay for.
3 miles from downtown Columbus, beneath the bustling streets, a colossal engineering marvel is taking shape. From the 10 TV drone, it looks like a wormhole from a sci-fi movie. This is the Lower Olentangy Tunnel. To get to the bottom, we descended by crane 80 feet below the city. To get to the end of the 2.5-mile tunnel, we squeezed inside an electric train down a 12-foot wide space that will take us to the star of the show, a $16 million cutting blade. When completed, this tunnel will stretch 3.5 miles. Dave Chotska is the project manager.
So right now, if you were to have a large rainflow, all of your sewer and your stormwater run into the same pipe, and they're not big enough to handle the capacity.
The Lower Olentangy Tunnel is designed to solve a pressing environmental problem, keeping stormwater from overwhelming sewer lines and ending up in the Olentangy River.
How much water will this tunnel displace that we normally would be sent to the river, but now it won't go there?
On a typical year, about 140 million gallons of wastewater that won't go to the rivers.
This consent order by the Ohio EPA found the city of Columbus in violation of water pollution laws in the state of Ohio. That forced Columbus to build a tunnel to fix the problems in the Olentangy River. As a result, Columbus sewer users had to pay higher fees to pay for it.
A lot of your sewers now are outdated, and so it grows as an improvement to your system.
What's captured in the tunnel will eventually be pumped to the city's wastewater treatment plant, then treated and sent back into the Olentangy River.
After this tunnel is built and it's functioning, are we to expect that the Olentangy will be a cleaner river?
Yes, yeah. and the Scioto.
With a completion date of June of 2026, the city says the project is on time, but we're just getting started.
Is this the last of the tunnels that we have to build, or will we have to build more?
We'll likely have to build more. Our population's growing. You know, our sewer system, a lot of these areas are 80 to 100 years old. They were never intended to carry the population we have.
For now, the project remains out of sight for most Columbus residents, but the city believes its impact will be felt for years to come.
It's going to help, future generations keep the rivers clean.
Kevin Landers, 10 TV News.
Well, Central Ohio leaders say as we grow, preserving green space is critical with so many areas already landlocked. That's why several cities are turning to a new trend called pocket parks. There are nearly 50 of them in Columbus, and these parks are showing us how small spaces are making a huge difference. Nora Gerber says this little green space grew out of a need.
Actually, the park that I used to go to would have been my elementary school, which is now torn down in a bunch of condos.
On the corner of Iuka and Waldeck in the University District and surrounded by off-campus housing and OSU Greek life is a new pocket park swinging into life. Benches that resemble nearby neighborhoods and a hammock garden for people to rest, relax, and restore.
I saw kids playing on these from the gem school yesterday, then they were like swinging on them. And I've also seen people just sit and read a book and relax.
And that's exactly what Gerber and the pastor from Indianola Presbyterian Church intended 2 years ago when the park was just an idea. Today, it's 0.3 acres of solitude surrounded by development.
When we have all of these apartments that don't necessarily have maybe as many backyards or community spaces within them, and we want people to come out of their house and meet their neighbors.
In Groveport, council leaders say they want that too. So the city bought a small plot of land and turned it into a pocket park right in the heart of historic downtown Groveport.
This was a gas station.
And a pizza place.
And a pizza place, yeah. Gas station, 2 gas stations actually, and a pizza place. Back to back and so forth like that.
Council members say it's money well spent, not only giving people a place to sit together, but a message to future developers. Green is Groveport's middle name. After all, it's been named Tree City USA for nearly 30 years.
We require a certain amount of bushes and trees. We also
green space.
Yes, and green space. So we do try to incorporate and mandate that there be trees and bushes with any new build.
Pocket parks, small solutions, but big impact as cities boom. And they're pretty too. Well, as Central Ohio grows, there's one more thing lacking: public art. 10 TV has learned Columbus is the last of the 14 largest cities in the country to not have a comprehensive public art plan. Well, a year-long effort is underway to change that, and the results could be released soon.
We feel like the big, you want to go big or go home, right? And so these huge walls that make people smile and hopefully make them feel differently about the people they see every day, make them feel the power of each other. We hope we can do more of it.
The artist says it took 5 weeks to create this masterpiece centered around empowerment. Lucy Shearer also wants it to send a message of why art must remain a critical part for growing cities.
The art that we create in the time that we're in is kind of a log of our culture of that period of time. And that culture, it also kind of forms the culture, and in murals in a very big way form the culture that you're living in. And they enlighten, or they like brighten up your environment. It becomes a part of the fabric of who you are.
It's a fabric we spotted quickly 2 months ago when 10 TV traveled to Austin, Texas, another boomtown city where development outpaced critical infrastructure. Leaders realized the high cost of living pushed many people out of affordability.
Our role in government at all levels is to be aware of that and to be sensitive to it, and then to make sure that we are taking the steps necessary to help ameliorate those situations and help folks so that if they're struggling, we can give them a hand.
Just this week, Austin invested over $21 million in grants to support more than 500 local creatives. A commitment artists like Lucy says needs to happen soon.
Just paying artists what they're worth at the end of the day, if the cost of living in the city is high, the cost of work is going to be high too.
Last May, the Greater Columbus Arts Council, along with Columbus and Franklin County leaders, launched a public art plan initiative. It's a roadmap that will lay out a blueprint of art for the next 5 to 10 years, which includes investments from all sides.
We have a mural program currently that pays artists to do murals in partnership with other spaces, and the property owner has to come to the table with a little bit of funding too.
And talk about great news for artists as the year comes to a close. The Greater Columbus Arts Council announced new grants to 15 mural artists as part of its second round of funding. So each one will receive $5,000 for their projects. Well, it has been an exciting year for Central Ohio and beyond when it comes to Boomtown, and we're already seeing more growth for 2025. As new projects come online, you can bet we'll be right there to tell you about it. I'm Angela Ann, and thank you for watching This Year in Boomtown. We'll see you next year.